My mom, so I was excited when I turned 18 that I could go out and buy lottery tickets and scratchers. And she told me, she's like, don't waste your money on that stuff. You're not going to win. And I was like, okay, Mom. And I went out and bought a scratch-off ticket for $1, and I won $500.
Nice.
And she was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, no, this is what happened. And she's like, well, I guess you're not going to listen to me tell you not to go buy them anymore. No, Mom, I'm not.
Yeah. I haven't really ever won anything. I mean, I've won free ticket or, double the cost of the ticket, which you'd go and turn it. You just go buy 2 more. I mean, on something like that. Why would you? If you're willing to throw away the first $2, why wouldn't you throw away the $4 that you got off the ticket,
Yep.
Which is how they get you. So
they just keep, it's the poor tax.
The poor tax.
Yep. We poor people hoping to get rich.
Right,
and they're willing to put in $1 or $2. How do you willingly have people give you money? Tell them they could win it.
Yeah. That's so horrible, isn't it?
It's the truth.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
Give me money, and there will be a chance all of a sudden that you could win it. Win lots of it.
You could see if you give me a little bit of money. See, that's the thing is it's about the buy-in. For just a small buy-in chance, you could be set. That
for a year.
No, for like
because everybody ends up going bankrupt.
Smart people wouldn't go bankrupt, but
smart people don't play lottery.
Sometimes they do.
Not like that.
No, not.
I mean, smart people might play every once in a while, but not like faithfully.
Sometimes it's fun to just get a ticket and see what happens.
That's not the people I'm talking about.
I do that from time to time, but I'll do it. Why not? It's fun.
I mean, if it's a crazy high amount, I might go buy a ticket. Just to be like, why not?
Well, I mean, somebody's getting a piece of it,
right?
And especially when they get so high to the point where, like, if 18 of you all won at the same time, you're still getting a nice piece of pie.
Yeah, with my luck, there'd be 1 million of us that won. We all get $100,
Like on Bruce Almighty. I won the lottery and only got $18.
Oh, man. So, we're recording this.
We are recording this.
Yeah. On
Wednesday before Easter.
Yeah. Which is Ash Wednesday? Or is that last week? When's Ash Wednesday?
At the beginning of Lent. You are.
Oh, so that's way off.
Behind, yeah. So it's.
I have no idea about any of that because I don't celebrate any of that. I don't do Lent. Yeah. Or I don't celebrate. Do you celebrate Lent or do you participate? I guess you participate. I don't participate in Lent.
Yeah.
That's a Catholic thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really a Christian church thing. It's not also really found in the Bible.
Right, but,
So, anyway.
Plenty of the habits.
So, it's the Wednesday before Easter, but for you, it's the day after or more, depending on when you listen to this. So, happy Easter. He is risen. I mean, he is risen already as we record this.
Technically, happy belated Easter.
Happy belated Easter. Belated?
Belated.
I mean, it's belated Easter now, and it's before our celebration.
What are you talking about?
He died 2,000 years ago, dude.
Yeah, I know, but that's not what I'm talking about. I meant the day we celebrate. Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
and technically, it was just short of 2,000 years ago. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Well, are you going in the 80-30 range? 80-29?
I mean, it could be, even more. It could be 3,000 years.
What?
Or 4,000 years. I mean, there's the whole, people that are emerging that are talking about the whole, the second coming has already happened. Then there's, a chunk of history that's gone. And have you not heard about that whole thing that's becoming, a bigger thing?
Yeah, it's a lunatic thing.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's one of those things that don't matter. I mean, I know you have your set beliefs on Revelation.
On lots of different things.
Well, yeah, that's true too. But on Revelation specifically.
Revelation in the end times, I have a fairly nailed in place thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so this is the day. If you're listening to this, it's going to be after Easter. And so happy Easter to you. I hope you had a great one. I hope you got to spend it, and it was a fun day and a love day. spend it with family, or friends, or whatever it is you do. Maybe you got to church, and I'm hoping you did. You heard a great message. It was inspiring and reminds you to keep the resurrection of Christ at the forefront of our minds and always in our hearts, so that we try to live more like Christ every day. Every day.
Yeah, and I have a buddy who's going through a lot right now, and so I just want to say to all of you out there who are going through what feels like, hell on earth, like just everything's falling down around you. Just remember that to be strong and courageous, do not be frightened, do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And this right now, whatever you might be going through.
Is that Joshua 1:9?
It is.
It is Joshua 1:9.
Yeah. And whatever you are going through right now, just remember that on the flip side of all of it, at the end of all of that, it's going to be this awesome testimony that is going to change lives for Jesus. So, and I know that that's one of those things that's like sounds cliche, but I feel like with the stuff that I've gone through as well, like, it's just one of those things we got to be reminded of. And if we can figure out a way to just dwell on that in the midst of all of the chaos that's happening around us, man, there's at least a hope at the end of the tunnel, right? So
that's a great message, especially on the Easter week celebration area, because think about it. Christ, when he was resurrected, he showed that he not only overcame sin, but he overcame the world. And when you keep that at the forefront of your minds, when you're going through something, know that Jesus has already conquered this, and he's already on the other side of it with you. You're just not there yet. And so as you trust in him, he's going to walk you through it, and he's going to get you to that other side, and you'll see, eventually we'll all know why things happen the way they happen. But for the moments that we do have to walk in it, we just walk in faith. And it's not a blind faith. It's not a blind faith in the fact that ultimately that victory has already been had. And it's confidence in what we walk towards, not just a blindness. You might not see how you're getting through with any current situation or depth of depravity of your current situation or anything like that, but God has already beaten it in the long run. And so, boom. There you go. So
very good. We're gonna do this.
We're gonna pull a card.
We're gonna pull a red card.
Red card.
Which red cards? Get my hand
I can't remember what red cards are.
They're just Bible facts.
Bible facts. Okay.
Or questions, but it's basically a trivia.
Oh, a trivia.
Yep.
I always get a little nervous when it's a trivia question.
Ready for this one?
What's that?
All right. Did Jesus Christ, which frustrates me right off the get-go.
Did Jesus the Messiah?
You're right, but anyways, ever commit any sin?
The answer is no. He was a spotless lamb. Yep.
That's a simple question.
Once again ties into our Easter season, which is actually, just to go into that, it's so important because he did walk sinless for us, but it is important that he did so because he died the penalty of sin without actually committing a sin. And in doing so, breaks the power of sin because he paid the penalty that was not owed to him. And so with that in mind, he showed that, number one, sin doesn't have the final say, but also that because he's got that, because he did walk that and he broke that and it's on his account, he then gives it to us freely. You can walk that sinless life because he gave it to you, because he walked it first and he puts it on our account. That's how the blood of Christ covers us. It's because he poured it out so that we can be covered in it. He allowed himself to be put down so that we can be risen up.
Yeah. Yep. So, okay, if there's one word of encouragement that you could give to people in this Easter, post-Easter season, what is it?
keep Easter in your heart. You know, we love the day of Easter, you know, because that's the day we celebrate the fact that Jesus did rise from the dead and gave us that hope. Hold on to that hope. Have Easter in your hearts every day. Try to remind yourself at the beginning of every day that your old life before that cross, life before that resurrection, it's the very thing that you're looking at. It's in the past. Today is a new day. You live in the resurrection now, and we celebrate that every day.
I know that we have at least one listener that sees Easter as having taken a lot of the pagan traditions and even, you know, Easter and Ishtar and all that comparison. What would you say to them to encourage them in the midst of something that's probably frustrating, knowing a lot of the history that, you know, that surrounds that controversy there?
Well, Easter and Ishtar actually have nothing to do with one another. It's some people want to make it have something to do with one another, but they have nothing to do with one another. Easter, how we currently call it Easter, went through a couple of different renditions, but none of them came from Ishtar. It's more about the rising, the morning, the like. I'm trying to remember the exact word. It might be morning, or dawn. It's more of dawn. It has nothing to do with Ishtar. So Easter is about the dawn, and that's when they found him, is at dawn. At the beginning of the day, or that morning, that's when they found that Christ had been resurrected. So we celebrate the dawn. And it's interesting because we also celebrate that's the dawn of the Christian faith right there in full, is that we now know, it really, there was plenty of stuff to have faith in prior to that, but when Jesus rose from the grave, we now know he is exactly who he says he is, and faith takes on a whole different meaning. We look forward to something a whole lot different, and it's beyond anything that even the Jews at the time had been looking forward to. When it comes to like some of the other practices, eggs, for instance, is another thing people get hung up on. You and I talked about this before, but eggs aren't part of a pagan practice. They got brought in because of Lent, people giving up certain things for Lent, and including eggs. And so what they would do is they would, hard boil them or preserve them so that they didn't go bad. And then on Easter, you could eat them again. So it was part of the celebration is you can now eat your eggs, you can go and do these things. And it just kind of carried forward in a really weird fashion. Now, for those who are concerned that, because of those things, the commercialism of the holiday gets in the way of the true meaning, I would say, yes, it does, much as things around other holidays. For instance, let's look at just St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is a day that I love very much, but I've also studied and I really love the person that we call St. Patrick and his life and the things that he did. That's really what that day was supposed to be, but for many, it's a drinking holiday. It's a day to go out, drink, and eat green stuff and get smashed and party. And it's one thing to celebrate. It's another thing to celebrate in the wrong ways. For Easter, if all you're emphasizing is the eggs and Easter baskets and all that stuff, I mean, it is a gift, that Christ died and then rose for us just so that we can see.
Sure.
So, for those who are like, should we give gifts on Easter? It is a gift. Our faith, our salvation is a gift. So it's, let's not, we don't need to muddy the waters too much. But if you're worried about that, then make sure that you're emphasizing that. You don't necessarily have to put down the eggs. You don't necessarily have to speak out against some of these other things, but you can have it upon yourself to go out there and make sure the gospel is at the forefront of Easter. Now, it's interesting, too, when we talk about Easter, and when it comes to the holiday schedule, it is somehow taken a back seat in many places to Christmas. And it was actually never supposed to be that way. Christmas was a day that, in old tradition, yes, it was a day that they kind of looked at and recognized the birth of Christ. and in that there is some celebration in church service and such like that. But it wasn't the holiday. Easter was the holiday. Easter was the day that we celebrated beyond all other, because it was our Passover. It was our. This is the big deal. This is our reminder that Christ rose and showed us. And so if you want anything, if you're going to do anything, let's push this as the premier holiday. That above anything, because Paul himself said that without the resurrection, if it had never happened, then our faith is not only in vain, but we are to be pitied. So it's important.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important. Without the resurrection, he's just a guy that died on a cross. But with the resurrection, he's not just a guy anymore. He is the Son of God. He is our risen Savior. And because of him, we can know that we can have eternal life.
Love it. Love it. So, what's going on, everybody? I know that we are doing this new thing where we start before we really,
we're a little
dive into anything. We're trying something new.
You're getting a peek behind some curtains a little bit.
Yeah, we're doing something new, and I've heard a lot of good reviews of it. There's been a lot of people be like, "Yo, I like the way that you guys are doing something a little different." So, let us know if there's something else we can tweak. I mean.
Yeah,
we don't mind.
We love playing with things,
tossing stuff up. Especially After I realized that this is our 204th episode. Like
204.
Yeah, I've done 200 and 2 of them now, 203 of them now, which is wild to think that I've been on.
If this is 204, you've done 202.
You guys did 2 of them without me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we did 2.
So it's wild to think that I've recorded 202. Of just this podcast. That's not even including some of the women's ones and all the men's ones, and the rabbit hole. And
that's a lot. I've only been on for a year and 3 months?
Yeah.
No, almost 4 months.
Year and 4 months.
Yeah. Well, year and 3 months. Solid year and 3 months. I've been on the show now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy, but. It's been good. It's been it's been a wild ride so far. Looking forward to doubling it.
Yeah.
So all that to say, thank you for hanging in with us and hanging out with us. And
yeah, I think once we get to episode 500, we should do it live, and it should be a party.
Forget that. 250.
250?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
I've been doing this for 5 years, dude.
250. So at 250, want to do a live podcast at 250?
Sure, why not?
That could be fun.
Well, it depends. I'll tell you what. If we can get you guys to get enough listeners before 240, we'll plan
Yeah, what are we looking for? I don't know.
I don't either. Let's say, because right now, okay, live stats here, all right? So
live stats. Recorded a couple days
early. Late. So somewhat live stats. All right, so we are sitting at 44 subscribers on our YouTube.
YouTube's 44 subscribers.
Yeah, and we're averaging somewhere between about 15 watches per episode a week or two out, so.
I think we need to get it 100. What's up?
100 subscribers or 100 views?
Well, 100 subscribers would be amazing.
All right. If you guys can get us...
Is this just on YouTube, or is this what we're looking at?
This is just YouTube.
All right, so 100 subscribers on YouTube?
Yeah. And I don't know if I can pull up the other. Let's see if I can pull up the other two. Why not? We're already doing this, right? Let's see.
You guys are...
Analytics, you guys are probably bored to tears right now, but we're going to look at the analytics. So, well, we're getting about 19 per day downloads. So
that's a lot of downloads. That's not bad.
Which means for every 28 days, we're doing about 540.
Ooh.
So we can get into the episode.
Get into the doublet.
So we're about at the same spot in the first week.
Yeah.
We're getting about 38 in the first 24 hours per
38.
episode on everything else.
Okay. Well, I would love to see that 100 every week. Boom. Done.
All right, guys. If you can do...
Let's get it done.
If you can get us sitting at 100 listens in the first 24 hours and 100 subscribers on YouTube, we'll do a live show
for
free.
Yeah.
For episode 250. So we're at 204 now. This is our 204th episode.
Yeah.
At 250, if you can get us to that point, we'll throw a party for you guys. Everybody's invited.
And everybody can watch us do the show, and we'll see if we can get some people from the podcast past. We'll see how many people
there you go.
from podcast
Maybe
past
we could get a podcast panel going.
Oh, man.
And do it on the stage out here.
That would be interesting.
Instead of doing it in the room.
We could have people come in and out,
Yeah. Pop them in and out.
Yeah. Now coming on the show is da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Maybe we'll make it a little bit longer, too, just so that we can get people.
Oh, yeah. That could be fun.
So, I don't know if that's something you guys are interested in.
The big
Let's
250?
do some sharing. Let's do some.
Let's work it.
Passing some information around, and even if you're sharing stuff that's shared with you, that's because you're a Patreon member. If you want to sneak that around to other people, that's cool too. I'm just saying. I'm not saying you can't share.
Everybody can share. Sharing is caring. So
that's where we're sitting. Let's shoot for that. Today we're gonna do talking cards because we have to get ready for our Easter event tonight.
Yeah,
it's been a long week, so we that's what we're doing today because it's been fun in the past too.
We've been having some fun. Actually, I love conversation cards of all different kinds. So this is always an easy thing to do. And then we know you've seen all those who have listened. We love jumping into the things that you write in about or just things that pop up. So
if you guys have talking point cards suggestions, like sets of talking point cards, we'd be interested in looking into those too.
Yeah.
These ones are talking point cards Christians.
Yeah.
Conversations with a purpose. So
but these things are.
You guys can see that.
These are awesome. Boom.
They're
so, I wonder if they got a second set. That'd be awesome.
Don't suggest that one because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Unless there's a second edition, and then you can suggest that one. But
yeah.
All right. So welcome to the Truth Response. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for everything you've given us. I just want to pray for all those out there right now that are going through a tough time, that you encourage them and remind them that everything that we go through has a purpose that you can spend to it, God, and that good can come from it, and that it is our testimony that you pull us through and you raise us up from the muck, God, because you're the one who cleanses us, because you were the one who rose from the dead, God. And I thank you so much for everything that you do for us on a regular basis. I pray that you continue to encourage and guide and just show us how to have love, grace, and mercy to others as much as you pour into us every day. It's in your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Before we get another card out, did you hear, it was on recent events, there was this pastor, I can't remember his name. He was overseas missionary and he got kidnapped. they were going to hold him for ransom, and then they sent in some police that got him out. But that to be said, right? So I should know the guy's name. I've been watching this thing kind of unfold, and they got him. They got him back. But here's the crazy part, right? He's I think he's I want to say he was a pastor here in the States. When the police went to get him back, they fired upon the car that he was in. Those in the car all perished, but he was unharmed. Yeah.
That's just good shooting.
Yeah,
Just
but
kidding.
a little bit also maybe God's protection, if you will. There's a lot of prayer I know that was happening for him. Just an interesting thing.
That's wild.
You know, sometimes we walk out in faith and it's scary, and sometimes things, as you start to step out in faith, sometimes things don't seem to go right.
Yeah.
But then God's not done yet.
Right.
So
I love the song, man. The song line, and if I'm not dead, God's not done. I love that so much.
it is good. It's true.
Good.
So you picked a red one before. You know what? Let's go blue. I'm feeling blue today. Double D.
Double die.
Yep, I knew you were gonna do it.
Eiffel 65, baby. It's my childhood.
Oh, this one is okay. This one says, if you believe there is a heaven, what do you imagine it would be like? Ooh.
Honestly, the way that I picture heaven is a lot like Earth. And the fact that it's better simply because it's back to perfection. And I don't know. I mean, there's the whole imagery of like streets of gold and all that, but even if that's the case, right? It's just a better version of what we've got now. In fact, I don't necessarily think that we're gonna lose our willpower or be robots and we're just constantly singing, to God or anything like that. But I think that we'll exemplify what it really means to worship and give God glory in everything that we do. And that would include, I personally think that could include everything from playing board games to taking care of the orchards to possibly being a janitor, but that's one of those things I weirdly hope we don't necessarily have to have as a horrible thing in heaven, but we'll see. Maybe we'll see a side of it that we don't normally see, But I think it's going to be, I think it will at the very least eventually be similar to life now, but without any bad. It'll be us glorifying God and perfectly loving each other and being patient and kind, and it will be constantly fruitful, So that's how I picture heaven. I don't think we'll lose the good qualities of our personalities, but just the bad, qualities of our personality. I think that that even though, so when Scripture talks about it alludes to the idea that we won't necessarily care about marriage and recognizing one another and all these things. I don't necessarily think, I think the point of that is more so that part doesn't matter. Shouldn't be your focus here, right? And a lot of that was him trying to trick him and trip him up. So I think there was a lot of elusive answers in some of those things that kind of pointed to you're missing the point. And so when it comes to a lot of that stuff, I think we'll still have our personalities, I think that I'll still be me and you'll still be you. It'll just be the perfected version of who we are, without any of the negatives and the bad qualities,
Yeah,
that's how I picture heaven. So
I can get on board with that. I usually when I try to imagine what it'll be like. I think we will, first and foremost, I got to think about Jesus, the fact that he will be able to be there and I guess be accessible, but, like an ultimate mentor and father and leader but I also feel like it'll be just filled with so much love and compassion and just togetherness, true koinonia, to the point where you're right. Perhaps we have our personalities, but it's without the envy and without. It's kind of like when you look at 1 Corinthians and say, "This is what love is." It's that without hindrance.
Right. You said that Jesus will be accessible, right? Like physically present, and I find it interesting because there's gonna be some sort of purpose that we don't have now. There, you know what I mean? Like there will be something that we will have purpose-wise, and maybe it's just simply to everything that we do glorify God in it, and that will be the purpose, and that to the average person who doesn't know the Bible, they would be like, well, that sounds boring. But we're also commanded to, whether we eat or drink or whatever we do it all for the glory of God. So if that means we're eating the best pasta ever, we're able to do that and really just glorify God in it. So there will be some sort of purpose too, because my immediate thought when you said that was, well, what's Jesus's purpose at that point? His purpose getting us there was he was everything, right? He's everything for us. So that is his purpose, besides obviously being God and existing. But what would his purpose be beyond that when we're in heaven? Is there mentorship to be had? Are we still gonna have things we don't know that we get to learn? Because some people really enjoy learning. I enjoy learning. I just don't enjoy reading, right? Is there gonna be think about the libraries and the books and everything that could possibly be in heaven, when we are there someday, who knows? Who knows? I wonder what that looks like his mentorship in heaven. Because that's what he does now, and that's what he did when he was walking the earth. So I don't know. It's a good weighty thought.
Yeah, it's hard to really imagine because we live on this side of it. And our world is, we perceive it because this is what we can perceive. This is a world with pain and suffering, but yes, it does have joys and goodness in it. That's because God is still, part of it. And so to think about what life is like without the struggle, without the pain, is sometimes difficult, mainly because we can't know that. We don't live in that.
Yeah.
So it's hard. The Bible doesn't give us a whole heck of a lot. It gives us enough to give us a picture, but doesn't give us a whole. It doesn't give us a program of
and
events.
I feel like it's more of a meta. Blah, blah, blah. I think it's a. Yes, my brain just fizzled out. Yeah. It's a metaphorical, more metaphorical description than not. I don't necessarily. I don't know. Maybe there's some real literal, in it. I don't know, but I think a lot of it's just to point out that you can't imagine it, right?
Yeah. Paul said there's no words. It's something beyond his even imagination, and perhaps even beyond anything that we can truly think of. And I think as we consider it, some of us will feel a fear, nervousness and anxiety about it. And it's interesting that we feel that because, if you were our enemy and you wanted us to not yearn for that which we know that we do, then you use any tactic. And fear is a tactic that is incredible to be used on humankind. We are so prone to fear. We are susceptible to it. And it moves us in interesting ways, even as we try to be faithful. And it's funny because even as we preach, in many ways, faith over fear, fear is still haunting us because of the unknown, the things that we can. And some people would say, well, why can't there be things that we can know? Well, faith is a big deal in this life, in this, and to just know would not be faith anymore.
I don't agree. I don't agree just simply because faith is based on what we know. Our faith is based on what we know.
Faith is founded in what we know, but it's not, what we know is not fulfilled with everything.
Well, I guess
we have to have faith for the gaps.
I don't think we cease to have faith once we're there, though.
Oh, I think we do have faith, but I think it's different. Like this existence there's got to be some unknowns, I believe, in order to be able to move in faith.
What if there's still unknowns in heaven, though?
Maybe, but let's look at how the Israelites were trained in the desert, right? Mm-hmm. They walk into a desert, and they're like, we need food, and every day God gives them the food they need that day.
Right.
Their daily bread, so to speak. And they want to store up some for tomorrow, but he's like, nope, just today. With the only exception being the day before Sabbath.
Right.
Right? But the thing is that he showed them what it is to walk every day relying on and having faith that God will provide. Right? Mm-hmm. I think it will be a very similar thing where we do rely on God for providing, and we'll have each probably, I would imagine we'd have some responsibilities and things that we do.
Sure.
But ultimately we'll have faith that is lived out in a more perfect way.
Sure. I agree with that. Yeah.
So here it's we have a lot of things. We have also a tempter that is trying to confuse us and baffle us and all those things. So, in the unknowns we have that he will attack.
Yeah.
But, part of that's, to me, I'll say to me, I think that's part of free will is the ability to go under attack and make the decision whether you're going to continue forward in faith or fall to temptation.
Yeah. That's good. Let's go to another card here. I like the way that one tied in with our chaosy stuff. Let's see.
Chaos.
Let's do a green card.
Green. Which one was green again? Green is
world
around us. Ooh. Okay.
What things should Christian parents consider around their children's education?
Okay. What things should we consider around our children's education? I think, some easy things. Safety, I guess, would be one of them. You want to make sure that if your kids are going into something, whether it be at home or another place, that, it's a good, safe environment where they can feel secure and go into a learning state of mind.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think that would be something that you'd want. And I think that if you're looking into schools, even if it's public schools, but you want to try to make sure that, as a Christian, that they aren't being forced to say that things are reality that are completely not only just against God and Christian values, but there are things that sometimes get pushed on these kids nowadays that it's like, that's not even real.
Right.
And so you might want to check for agendas, check for safe environments, check for things, the kind of people. What I would say is, we are to nurture and bring up our kids in the right ways. If you can see that an environment is, no matter what the environment is a good environment to not only nurture a child's creativity and their hunger to learn, then that could be beneficial. And you want to have the right people in place. And you can find that in all different. You want to try to find good teachers. They're good, as best you can. Sometimes people don't have a choice, or they feel they don't have a choice, and they kind of just try to do the best what they can. And I think also the thing that this is something that a lot of parents, whether they know it or not, they don't want to hear. And I was one of them, because you are not exempt. Even if you are not homeschooling, okay, you are not exempt from your children's education. You are raising your children, and part of raising children is to teach them and to see how they're being taught and to help them in the areas. Parents and kids, we don't like homework together. And whether there's homework or not, it's our responsibility to see how our kids are learning, what they're doing well in, what they're struggling with, and to nurture them ourselves as well. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to overstep a teacher, especially if it's a good teacher, but it does mean that you're involved and you are, taking part in this and making sure that their education is not just something that you go and tell them to do, that is something you care about and you're, for the right reasons. Some of the things that schools teach, sometimes, especially, sometimes are they really going to be needed in life? You never know. My kids ask me that question all the time. Am I ever going to actually use this? I'm like, you don't know. You don't know yet.
You'd be surprised.
Sometimes you're surprised when something comes back up. And the next time you use it might not be any other time except for when you helped your kid with homework. But these things sometimes have a way of coming up. But yeah, be involved. Take care. Actually care about what they're learning, how they're learning, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses. And the other thing that we can do that's really beneficial for our kids, and once again, no matter what kind of environment they're going into, is find the things that really make them tick. Find the things that they have a passion about, that are real interest in that, and help them go down those rabbit holes. Help them to, provide ways or try to find extra ways to help them really study the things that that really catch their attention. It pays dividends, whether that's, sometimes it's easy, it's a sport or a musical instrument or some kind of thing like that. That can be easy. Just we can schedule a time in our schedule to do those things. But sometimes it's, we'll go and get them extra books about something, get them, figure out what it is that they're really into and help them to explore that. That can really help a child's mind for education and to learn in ways that, if they don't have that kind of support, then sometimes it can be more harmful than if we are able to really help them. We don't need, there's ways to go overboard both ways, obviously, but be involved, help support them, help encourage them, and listen to them. As both a dad and as a pastor of high school and middle school children, and they still are children, sometimes the best thing I can do is just to be there, available to them, and let them come to me with their questions, and then genuinely try to pour into them from there. Whether that's in the role of a counselor or an advisee or just straight teacher mode. This is what this is. And the more I give them that safe place, like I've been talking about, to come and be able to ask those questions, no matter what it is, the more that they're willing to keep that relationship open. And that's what you want, I think. As a parent, we should want that relationship to be open so that no matter what happens in their life, you are their safe space, no matter what they're learning, what they're struggling with, or anything that's going to happen. So,
yeah, I've only got a couple of things that I would say, and that's I'd start off with, obviously, I definitely echo what you said about, teaching them when they're young. Bible says that, teach them the right ways when they're young, and when they're old they won't depart from it. And that does not mean that they won't go through a teenage / young adult phase where they stray a little bit. That's not what that's talking about. But in the long run, they'll steer back. And most of the time, as long as you're training your kid the right way, like that's what I've seen happen. Is that's gone down. Now, coupled with that, and it's something that a lot of people, I've gotten a lot of pushback in the Christian community, probably because there's a lot of homeschool parents in the Christian community and Christian school parents in the Christian community. They don't really like this on the surface, but it's our responsibility to make sure that they are able to be the light in the world as young people. And so sometimes that means, even though we want to homeschool our kids at a certain point, maybe they got to go to public school. And I'm not saying for everybody. I'm not saying that's for every single student. I'm not saying that's for every single family. But I'm saying, like, sometimes we've got to consider, like, how are we allowing them to be a light in the world before they're out of our home? Because we have to train them in that, right? We have to give them opportunities for that. And so I used to be a very strong believer in, if you want to homeschool or Christian school your kid, that's cool, but at high school at least you gotta put them in somewhere where it's a mixed up of kids. The longer that I've looked into Christian schooling, it's not all that different than public schooling as far as kids go, right? As far as the kids go, there's a lot of different beliefs, and there's a lot of different types of kids. Every kid's obviously unique, but the stereotypical types, whatever you want to call that. There's bullies in Christian schools. There's all of that. So, so I would say, like, as long as whatever it is, if you're homeschooling, make sure that there's somewhere where they can shine their light. God's light in the world. I think
I can understand where you're at there. I homeschool my kids,
right?
And for us, we make sure our kids aren't in too much of a bubble, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of, I mean, they're involved in different groups, and we allow them to go do things, and they're able to be lights in other environments.
Right.
That in those cases, like, I'm not, they don't need a public school to be that outlet. We give them plenty of ways to go and do that. And the thing is that I think when you actually show them that the world is what it is, and you allow them to be part of it, there's things that you do want to try to help them stay away from, and that's in any case. But you can help them navigate it too. Kids need to see a little bit of that for themselves. Depending on your environment, wherever you are, no matter what you decide to do, there's always ways to help them see that this is what our world looks like, and these are some of the realities of this world, and be able to discuss it and say, okay, this is where we should be with this,
right?
Versus, I have seen people that they almost don't want their kids to be privy to the world.
Yeah,
and I think there's
a lot of those in the Christian community that are hesitant to allow their kids into any of that stuff. But it's our responsibility. They should be seeing us do that, right? Like, they should be seeing us in the world, and shining Christ's light into it, right? So,
and I get it, because, like, it's a scary place out there, and there's a lot of things. Our kids don't need to be saturated with some of this stuff that's out there. But so I'm with you. But at the same rate, like, this world, they can't wake up one day, and without us, and then suddenly be face to face with everything in this world.
Right. Which leads to my third thing, and that is another not very popular opinion, and that is, you have to let your child fail. You've got to let your child fail. You don't have to create the space for them to fail, but you have to allow your child the opportunity to fail, because what failure does is shows that you're not perfect, and it allows an opportunity to grow. Example, working out. You want to go to where your muscles just can't do it, right? I cannot do this thing. And then your muscles learn from it by resting and getting stronger, and that's what kids are going to do too. So sometimes it's very important for us to let our kids fall flat. Now, our natural reaction to that is to not want to do that. I mean, and sometimes it is our responsibility to catch them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's an always thing. But I am saying, like, we have to allow them to fail, especially while they're young and under our care, so that we can be there to help them pick up the pieces when they need it.
I think in that, whether, as you're saying, like, and that might have some people with some mixed emotions and thoughts, but, like,
right.
I think it's not about, like, as you said, it's not about creating situations
right.
to fail or anything like that. I think it's more the fact that sometimes our kids need to know that sometimes you're going to make a mistake, and sometimes it's not going to be right, and sometimes your best effort isn't going to be what you think or hope it's going to be. But I think the bigger thing to challenge in that is to help your kid understand that although that's not what we are looking for, and we want to keep trying, but it's okay for that to happen to you. Well, and it's not the end of the world.
I want to take it a step further than that, though.
It doesn't make you less of a person,
right?
Right? Because there are children that think that if they do make a mistake, if they do fail, if they don't get the grade that they thought they were going to get or they hope to get, that like they just almost like they're a loser, or
sure.
that they're not worth anything, or they're just a failure at life. It's like these things happen.
Yeah,
people make mistakes.
Letting them fail and being there for them in the midst of that will help to teach our kids that failure's not what defines you. I mean, nobody makes a new invention right the first time, right? All these people out there that made computers and cell phones and the light bulb and all that, they didn't do it right the first time. Failure had to be a part of the process. It had to be. And so if we're not allowing our kids the opportunity of failure and just letting them fall flat, and we're fixing things for them or not putting them in situations that they could potentially fail at, like, we're doing them a disservice. We're encouraging the thought process of, I have to be perfect.
Yeah, I get you there. And, it's kind of like that Batman Begins. Batman Begins when the dad asks Bruce Wayne, why do we fall? The answer is obviously to learn to pick ourselves back up again.
Right.
And I think, this is going to sound, like a complaining thing, but yeah, I also am one of those who I'm not for the idea that everybody gets a trophy.
Oh, yeah, no.
I think if you want to ruin kids and entitle them, and if you want to take the whole point of trying to be the best, give everyone a trophy, and that'll ruin all of that. Because, like, for me, like, going out there and playing a sport and losing, nobody likes to lose. But if you can help nurture the idea that, yep, okay, you lost. That means we got to train harder. We got to try more. We got to get there. The victories then become that much sweeter in life. Sometimes it's the difficult things that we have to go to that help us enjoy the good things that much more. Victory is hollow without defeat.
Yeah. And you're going to have to work with people, right? That's team sports especially. Like, you cannot be selfish in a team sport and be successful. Now, you can look like you are if the team is successful, right? If the rest of the team knows how to be a team and you don't play like a team player, technically you could be successful. I'm thinking of like and I don't know which player it is, so whatever, it's not defamation. But there's a player on the Everblades team that he just does not pass the puck, and it's super annoying, and everybody knows it, right? But the Everblades are a pretty good team, so it's one of those things that it can happen. But a lot of time what happens is if you've got somebody who's really good on a really bad team, that really good player is going to do one of two things. They're either going to switch teams, or they're going to figure out a way to bring the rest of the team up, right? And so, I think you're right. I think that there needs to be incentive for getting better at things, trying harder at things. And once again, failure's not always a bad thing. Failure can absolutely be a good thing. Jordan Peterson taught his daughter, he would ask on a regular basis, "What'd you fail at today?" And just to be sure that she was trying new things and that she didn't have this idea that failure was a setback, but failure was a stepping stone to success.
Yeah, I can get with that. It's tricky because you can't always be the best. There's always going to be someone better, someone smarter, someone, and just as soon as you set the record, someone's coming for it. No matter what it is. I think, no, and it's hard to fail. It's hard to make the wrong decisions, but I mean, even as you can be sure of something and then still get it wrong. And it's all part of building you. And you're still going to learn something from it. You can have a whole team of people that come together and are sure of a decision, and it's not the right decision.
Yeah.
You can do it as an individual. You can do it as a team. You can do it as a company. And as we look at history, we could probably find examples of this all over. We've seen great leaders make bad decisions.
Yeah.
We've seen groups make, but the thing is that it's what you do next that defines you. And I think...
look at David.
Oh, David.
That is David right there.
David picked himself back up, for sure. A step in the wrong direction. Some things feel like a step in the wrong direction, but it doesn't mean you have to keep going in that wrong direction.
Right.
Yeah,
so learn to pivot.
Pivot.
Well, we've been going about an hour. We could pull... I know it doesn't feel like it. We could pull a yellow, which is the last color we haven't done today. Or we could save it for next week.
I think we can save it.
Save it.
We'll save it.
I was thinking
Give them something to look forward to.
You said it's tricky, and anytime I think of it's tricky, I think of a specific song. But I was thinking it would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
To pick 2 or 3 song lyric or titles that each of us have that we have to work in to each episode.
Oh my
and
goodness.
You guys tell us if you think this is a good idea. And we have to work into each episode, but try to do it in a way
that seems natural
and people don't pick up on.
Oh, come on.
And then they've got to guess what the 4 or 6 whatever song titles or lyrics. What do you think?
Oh man, do I get to pick my own songs?
Well, maybe. I mean, we could switch that up, right? Maybe one week we'll pick our own songs. The next week we'll pick for each other.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe one week we'll get a listener to email us. Don't put it out there on Facebook because that defeats the purpose. But somebody to email us or private message us and give us 6 or 3 and 3, or 2 and 2 or whatever that looks like. That could be fun. That could be a fun thing. What do you guys think? Let us know.
Should we sneak song titles into our
titles lyrics? Lyrics or titles?
Lyrics or titles. Sneak song titles or lyrics into our shows. That could be an interesting...
I don't know. It's something that happens a lot where we sing a song because of something someone says, or we get thinking about something that happens on a fairly regular basis.
It's like trying to say instead of being like, all right, now, you go, all right, meow.
Yeah. We're not doing that. That's too super for me.
Oh, come on, be a trooper.
Oh my gosh. Maybe we're de-evolving. I'm not really sure.
No.
I believe in evolution. No Mac, but...
No. Well, no, I'm not getting into that. We don't have time for that today. All right.
That's why I said no Mac.
No. Yeah, so we are hoping that you had, once again, a good Easter, and we're glad that you tuned in today. You heard us talking about the 250th possible live episode. Could be an extravaganza.
But we need your help.
We need your help.
We need your help. Hey, that was from Space Jam.
Yes, it is from Space Jam.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyways.
So
We do. We need your help to get there. 100 subscribers.
maybe we'll do an episode where we pick a movie and try to get as many lines from that movie into an episode as possible.
We're going to have them written down because I'm not good at that. But.
Man.
Or maybe he quotes a bunch of movies that I don't know. That could be it, too. That happens a lot.
Maybe.
Not for you, but just in general. Or we could have a special guest on and they have to try to guess every time, pick up on every time we...
Oh, dude, that'll drive them mad.
Wouldn't it?
Help us to get this thing growing even more and more. 100 subscribers.
We need 100 subscribers and 100 daily listens on everything, everything else.
On the YouTubes. We need it happening.
Not just on the YouTubes,
Yep.
but on everything else.
Yeah, we're going to make this the thing, and then we're going to party like it's $19.99.
Are you saying that they're all older than that?
No. What? Why are you getting off top? Anyway.
I mean, because that's 26 years ago.
20? What?
It's 2025.
Oh, my
gosh. All right. Sorry for making any of you feel old. I just felt old. He's now feeling old. So
26 years ago.
We love you guys. Wow. Thanks for jumping in on the random talking points today. Let's get them subscriptions up. Let's spread the word of God around to everybody that we encounter. So,
and for everyone who just heard 26 years and is hurting with me, I love you. You're my people.
He loves the ones that aren't hurting as well.
That's true.
Just so you know.
I love all of you.
So, yeah. Thanks for joining us, and God bless.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Make sure to subscribe and give us a like on iTunes and Spotify so that you will never miss a show. And while you're at it, check out our Facebook and Instagram pages and make sure you tell your friends about this show. You don't want them to miss out on the truth because we are all about the truth here. Thanks for joining us this week, and God bless.